This research focuses on students' perceptions of student-led inquiry. Okay, so I work at Leeds Trinity University in England, and I'm just going to give you some brief context on the university so that you can understand what we're trying to do. So in 2015, the university launched a new learning, teaching and assessment strategy, and a big emphasis, really, a big focus on the strategy is about developing student-led inquiry, and this is a key strand in the strategy. So what we're trying to do as a university is we're trying to enable our students to take more responsibility for their own learning, in a way to help them to work towards employment and to gain vital employability skills, such as teamwork and collaboration, etc. So we want our students to be less passive and much more active in their learning and much more in control of their learning. So and this is a big strand, it's a big theme within our strategy. Okay, so what did we do? So this year we asked all of our first year undergraduate students to work in teams and to develop a team project within a programme or course. So some of the students worked in teams with students from studying their programme. So they were sort of programme specific teams, but other students decided to do projects with students from other subjects, so they were kind of multidisciplinary teams. So the focus of the work was really to develop a group project and to produce an outcome, and they had to decide what the group project was and what the outcome would be, and they had to work out the organisation for the project. They had to plan the project together, they had to work out all the deadlines along the way, and they had to work out how they were going to present the final outcome. Okay, so each team had to work on a project and produce an outcome. So for example, the students studying media and film decided to produce a documentary. So what we did after the projects had taken place, we sent an electronic questionnaire to all students who'd undertaken the projects, and we conducted a focus group with staff. So the staff feedback on the projects was actually very positive, and staff reported that students enjoyed being given the freedom to choose their own projects. They reported that students generally engaged well with the projects and enjoyed working in teams, and they talked a lot about how students have been empowered to take ownership of the task, and they generally work very well in their project groups, in their teams. The students enjoyed being given the opportunity to shape their own tasks. They were enthusiastic, excited, motivated, conscientious, and they attended the university regularly to complete the projects. There was a strong sense of team spirit, and students were very keen not to want to let the rest of their group down. So there was a real high level of commitment from each team member. The tutors reported that it was important to provide the students with a clear outline, a very general outline of the task at the beginning of the project, but then to give the students opportunity then to shape the task in the way they wanted to shape it. The tutors also noted that it was important to support the students in their independent learning rather than just letting them go off and do their own thing without any support. So the notion of guided independent learning is quite critical here. The idea that students go off and they're following their own interests, they're pursuing their own projects, they're working on their own projects in teams, in small groups, but the tutor is there to guide, to question, to challenge, maybe to redirect them in places. The tutor plays a critical role in supporting the learning, and the tutors commented on that was an important factor really in the success of the projects. Okay, so the students completed an electronic questionnaire. And some of the responses on the questionnaire were, well, most of the responses actually were very positive. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull out some of the key overall student responses, and then a few slides further on in the presentation I'm going to organise the responses into key themes. Okay, so what did the students say? So they found the teamwork really beneficial. So teamwork came out as a strong aspect of these projects. They liked the fact that they were working in teams. They liked the fact that it was 100% their own material, and they sourced everything. So they sourced all the resources, for example. They were given no real guidelines, and the final product was theirs. They owned it, they designed it, they created it, and it was literally, for the film students, it was their show. They enjoyed meeting, the students who worked in multidisciplinary groups enjoyed meeting people from other subjects and interacting with them, and getting to know other people across the university. And they felt the teamwork really helped them with their communication skills. Okay, so there was a real strong sense of team spirit, with everybody working well together and getting on with the task and completing the work on time and to a good standard. So the groups were really focused on producing a good outcome, and making sure that nobody kind of let anybody else down in the group. So that was important, and that came out strongly. Working in a group, they felt it helped them to understand the topic better, when working with other people in the same position, because if they didn't understand anything, they could talk to their peers, they could clarify their misconceptions, they could talk things through, they could solve problems together, and therefore it resulted in a deeper learning. And I think one of the key themes that really emerged from this was the fact that the students really enjoyed it, and enjoyment is obviously critical in learning, and they just found it much more enjoyable to work in a group rather than working on their own. So one of the key themes that really came out of the data was the social skills that these projects developed. So the students enjoyed meeting new people. They felt that the sessions were relaxing, because they were in control of the sessions. They could organise the sessions, they could organise the meetings. Everything was on their terms. They made new friends, and more importantly, they enjoyed coming into university. So that was very beneficial. Their communication skills, they felt their communication skills improved. So they became better at listening to other people's ideas. And not only listening to other people's ideas, but taking turns within conversation and building on the ideas of other people, and knowing when to listen and when to interject, and when to put the pauses in, etc. So their whole communication skills massively improved, or they felt their communication skills improved as a result of these projects. They became more confident. So this is a really nice quote from one of the participants, one of the respondents to the survey. "I was in a group with some dominant people, and I developed the skill of disagreeing when I didn't agree with them." So this was a student who lacked confidence initially at the start of the project, and by the end of the project, the students have been placed in a group with some very dominant characters, and he developed the confidence to actually challenge them and to say, well, actually I disagree with you, and that's powerful. They felt more confident at taking part in meetings, because they had to have lots of meetings during the duration of the project, during the life of the project. They had to have meetings. They even had agendas. They brought agendas to meetings, and they conducted this in a very formal way. They became more confident. They felt more confident in conducting themselves in presentations as well. So they're developing lots of employability skills really as a result of these projects, because not only do they have to first of all decide on the focus of the project, and decide on what the outcome will be, but they have to decide on how that's going to be structured, how it's going to be organised, who's going to do what the mini deadlines are along the way, so what needs to be produced by when and what stage does the project need to be at by when, and there's all sorts of employability skills in there, and actually what they started to do was they started to develop the confidence to actually hold each other to account. So if people maybe turned up to meetings and hadn't done what they were supposed to have done, then people were they were actually challenging each other and saying, well, you should have done this, you've let us down. And that was really developing great confidence and lots of employability skills. So the students felt that they became better really at organisation in terms of meeting deadlines, time management. They became better at planning because they had to plan the projects in a logical way, and they had to get things done because other people literally in the group depended on them doing their bit, and therefore if they didn't do their bit, then they were letting the whole group down, and that developed a very strong team spirit, but it also meant that the students started to kind of police themselves and regulate their own learning because they didn't want to let their peers down. So that was interesting. Some of the students in the questionnaire commented that as a result of the team projects, they felt that they had actually understood the subject area better, and they developed a deeper understanding. They felt they developed a deeper understanding in the subject simply because they were finding out the information for themselves. So they were researching their own information and sourcing their own information, and that they felt that developed deeper learning. So, having conducted this project this year, what are the next steps for us as a university? So I think it's important that we think about planning modules so that we have a balance of structured teaching and guided independent learning. I think it's important that students do have direct teaching input from their lecturers, and that lecturers that students are then benefiting from the wisdom of their lecturers and from the research their lecturers have completed, but also have opportunities within every module to do some kind of independent learning that's guided by the tutor, and it's achieving that balance that I think will be key to success. We probably need to research different models of student-led inquiry to find out from a theoretical standpoint what models exist and how we can maybe adopt some of those models in different areas. And as tutors, lecturers start to experiment with student-led inquiry more in various departments, subject areas, then we need to disseminate those practices across the university so that people learn from that. Okay, thank you.